Hey everybody, Mike Slifer here in the First Alert Forecast Center. This is another First Alert Weather Extra. We had an earlier one done today. Chief Meteorologist Mark Dixon handled that this afternoon. And of course, you saw Scott Haney here this morning. And the reason for that is because we have a lot to talk about as we head into the holiday weekend. This is a very popular weekend for travel and trying to fit in those last fall and maybe even late summer plans. So we wanted to really bring attention to what we're expecting here as a coastal storm will work its way into the region and impact certainly Connecticut and southern New England. So it's the Sunday to Monday time frame. We have two First Alert weather days here. Rain and wind are expected. Outdoor activities will be affected. Travel will be affected. And this all ramps up on Sunday. We're actually expecting rain later in the afternoon and evening. So the daylight hours on Sunday are mainly dry, and in the morning we do expect a dry start to the day too. The wind will be ramping up as the day goes on, becoming breezy by Sunday afternoon and then downright windy Sunday night. And that's when we really expect things to peak, Sunday night into Monday. We'll be dealing with a gusty, windswept rain. Rain could be a bit heavy at times, and if we see enough of it in a short enough period of time, perhaps we'll even see some poor drainage type flooding. By Tuesday, the coastal storm will depart. So we'll show you the timeline here on First Alert Futurecast. By 7 o'clock Saturday morning, high pressure is moving away from us. And throughout the day tomorrow, we start off fairly bright, some filtered sunshine, and then the clouds will begin to move on in and thicken up a bit. By, say, late tomorrow night into Sunday morning, rain starts to move through the mid-Atlantic states. 10 a.m. Sunday, we're still dry across Connecticut, but then we'll start to see that rain move in for the afternoon and evening especially. The low itself, the center of the low pressure, looks like it's going to still be near the mid-Atlantic, so all of that rain will be advancing northward out ahead of it. But that also means that perhaps we miss out on some of the very heaviest rain, and you can really see that here on our model comparison for the accumulated rainfall. Looks like totals 1 to 3 inches will be most likely east of us. Within the state of Connecticut, we still think we could see an inch or two, maybe even some locally higher amounts. But an inch or two of rain received over 48 hours will certainly be less impactful than if we were to see all of that in a very short period of time. The other facet to this is going to be the wind. During the day on Sunday, we'll see the wind gusts start to pick up. As we mentioned, breezy during the day Sunday, gusts mostly below 30 miles per hour, but those gusts will get stronger Sunday night and especially into Monday. They'll peak 30 to 40 miles per hour. Some stronger gusts, isolated stronger gusts will be possible, especially near the shoreline. It's Long Island and Cape Cod and the islands where we could see even stronger gusts, 50 miles an hour and up. High wind watches are in effect right now for Long Island and for, say, Nantucket. In Martha's Vineyard, the Cape under a wind advisory. We do not have any of these wind headlines within our state borders. However, trees are still in full leaf for the most part. There's a lot of leaf drop in parts of northern New England. We haven't experienced that here just yet. So gusty winds could certainly lead to some isolated power outages. As we mentioned, heavy rain will affect travel. And there's a coastal flood risk for this too. Unrelated to the rainfall, what we're thinking here is that with a prolonged period of an east-northeast wind, during the high tide cycles, later Sunday through Monday afternoon and evening, we could see 1 to 2 feet of inundation. In other words, 1 to 2 feet of water along the shoreline moving into those prone areas, some coastal flooding. And this, again, is going to be greatest during the high tide cycle, starting later Sunday, lasting through Monday. Coastal flood watches are in effect for that time frame. They have been cut down slightly on the timing, which is a bit of a good news for us. So the Sunday morning high tide cycle does not appear to be as impacted, and we will, of course, continue to monitor. The other big weather headline yesterday was how cold it was going to be this morning. And guess what? It was cold. In fact, we tied the record for the Hartford area. 29 degrees was the record. That's where we ended up. 33 in Bridgeport, 40 degrees was the actual temperature. Temperatures peaked today in the lower 60s just about everywhere, with some mid and upper 50s in the southeastern corner of the state. And this is about what we expected. We would see that rebound into the 60 to 65 degree range. And we did see plenty of sunshine out there. We started to see clouds thicken up a little bit, and they'll increase overnight tonight. Here's our ICAM view right now in Waterbury, looking live over West Main Street from atop the Mattatuck Museum. 51 degrees, winds out of the south at 5 miles per hour. And off in the distance, if you look at the sky, we can actually see just a little bit of that cloudiness starting to build in. Here's our ICAM view in Old Saybrook. We can't see quite as many stars as we typically would, although we still can see some. And our ICAM view right now in Mystic. Perhaps a better viewpoint of those clouds. that are starting to build and move into the state. Compared to last night at this point in time, we are much warmer. 5 to 15, 16, 17 degrees warmer right now, depending on where you are in the state. And that's because shoreline towns are still in the mid and upper 50s. Tweed, New Haven, 60 degrees. 45 to 50 across northwestern and northeastern Connecticut, while the Connecticut River Valley is in the lower 50s. So this is actually pretty seasonable for this time of year, and we are expecting temperatures to fall down a bit more tonight. Now, over the last 6 hours, we have been watching those clouds increase from the south. We have a storm system approaching from the west, so temperatures will be fairly slow to fall over the next few hours, down into the 40s everywhere. Even along the shoreline, you see a lot of 50s right now, but eventually we will get closer to 40 degrees. So we settle about 40 to 45 inland tonight. Again, not as cold as it was last night, and pretty close to what is typical, normal, average for this time of year. Shoreline towns will be a little bit warmer, especially once you head into the western part of Connecticut. But the same takeaway here is that while it is going to be, relatively speaking, a chilly night, we're just much closer to where we would be and certainly much warmer than last night. No 20 sneaking up on the map means no frost either. For the Eversource Hartford Marathon tomorrow, we're expecting filtered sunshine. Temps in, say, the upper 40s by 8 a.m., climbing through the 50s and then into the lower 60s as the day goes on. We will see high temperatures for many towns tomorrow, peak in the mid and upper 60s. Again, seasonable for this time of year, even seasonably warm as clouds will be increasing and wind shifts to be out of the east. Also worth mentioning here, sunrise 6:59 in the morning, and that's because those 7 a.m. sunsets arrive for the second half of this weekend. On October 12th, that's Sunday, sunrise will be 7 a.m. Foliage right now across the state, you may want to get out there and try to enjoy it right now, because as the wind picks up throughout the course of the weekend, well, a lot of the trees may experience leaf drop. We have low to moderate color through much of the state, maybe even a little bit of high color popping up in northwestern parts of Connecticut. Still a lot of green out there. Nearing peak, or we are peaking as you head north. So this would be a great weekend, a great Saturday to head to the Berkshires, to head to the Catskills. Peak foliage across parts of Maine. Some of the reports were not that great, so we'll see if we see similar conditions here. Reports in Maine were that the foliage was, the peak was brief and patchy. So, might not be the best year for foliage. Pollen counts will be dropping as the weekend goes on. Not a shock given the rain. Ragweed, of course, the main pollen this time of year. Ragweed is the main pollen. So if you suffer from ragweed allergies, you likely already know that, and you've been trying to mitigate as much as you can. So temperatures tomorrow, 68 inland, 62 on Sunday, 57 on Monday. That coastal storm will make things wet and windy. The free First Alert weather app, great thing to have downloaded in case any alerts are issued. Breezy on Tuesday as temperatures start to climb. Upper 60s Wednesday, upper 50s Thursday, and then by Friday next week, temps around 61 degrees. Shoreline town, 67 on Saturday, 65 on Sunday, 59 Monday, 66 Tuesday, near 70 Wednesday. Plenty of sunshine out there. Back in the upper 50s Thursday, low 60s by Friday. The foliage forecast, which brings us through, say, the middle of next week, does show that parts of Connecticut will be nearing peak, especially in the northwestern corner of the state, parts of western Hartford County into Litchfield County, parts of Tolland County, too, near Stafford and Stafford Springs. And then we'll otherwise see moderate to high color across most of Connecticut. But the only caveat here, as we mentioned, is that we have to account for the wind. And gusty winds could easily strip the leaves down. So we'll have to see how much leaf drop we actually see, but either way, we are expecting, unfortunately, to at least see some. We want to take it to the tropics here. Jerry right now, a tropical storm, wind speeds of 50 miles per hour as it starts to head north closer to Bermuda. It is still expected maybe to strengthen a little bit, but we're not looking at the hurricane strength like we once were. It'll leave Bermuda alone and end up east of the island nation before moving out into the middle of the Atlantic and weakening. Just to give you an idea of what normal is here, 5 days from now, the normal high is 64 degrees, and by November 1st, 3 weeks, normal high is 57. So we're watching that progression where the normals really start to drop off fairly quickly here. And interestingly, the 8 to 14 day outlook, which is the 18th through the 24th, shows these deeper shades of blue, indicating the higher likelihood the temperatures could actually be running a bit below normal. So we'll have to watch this closely, but this would bring us into the third week of the third week of the month, and it wraps up just before the final weekend of the month. So this does cover the 18th and 19th. It does not cover the 25th and 26th. So we'll be watching very closely, and we'll be the first to alert you if we see any big signals. Certainly the big story this weekend, besides the Hartford Marathon, the Riverton Fair, and the Southington Apple Harvest Festival, is going to be the first alert weather days for Sunday and Monday. And guess what? We actually have some bonus first alert weather extras coming tomorrow and Sunday. 10:45 a.m. tomorrow and Sunday, and then again around 5 p.m. tomorrow and Sunday. So be sure to join Jill Gilardi, Scott Haney, and Chief Meteorologist Mark Dixon. We will provide you updates throughout the course of the weekend, too, and you can always get updates on the free First Alert Weather app. Stay safe out there this weekend. Have a great holiday weekend, and just, isolated power outages on the table, charge your devices, and have a plan in case you do lose power. Thankfully, we're not looking at any extreme cold, but it certainly isn't going to be really nice out either. We will have you covered, though, should any alerts be issued, and you can always tune in to Channel 3. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and stay tuned for whatever